keeps you going?
Hard. Keeps me going knowing that we're making a difference. We had this case on Samui. She had, I think, just litter after litter after litter, and they lived near a main road, and the puppies would just get run over. And this poor mama dog must have just been heartbroken, losing all her babies, you know? And now we've prevented that. She doesn't have to have that anymore.
Thailand has a dog problem. If you were to spend just a few days in or around Thailand, be it Bangkok, up in Chiang Mai, or down in Phuket, you would quickly come to the realization that Thailand has a dog problem. According to an Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada report released last year, the pet population in Thailand has increased by a compound annual growth rate of 2.3% between the years 2016 and 2021. According to the data, in 2016, there were over 7.3 million dogs. By 2021, that number had risen to 8.2 million. The forecast estimate is by the year 2026 for 9.1 million dogs. The study was focused on animals as pets, as the intent of the report is to provide information to those in the pet food industry. So it's safe to assume that those numbers don't likely take into account all of the dogs that roam free in the country. 8.2 million might not be a problem if all those dogs were living happily behind closed gates, receiving the nationally recommended immunizations, and owned by folks who receive the necessary animal welfare education so as to keep the unwanted expansion of free roaming dogs under control. But that simply isn't the case. Today, we're going to be speaking with a woman driven by a love for dogs and the country of Thailand, determined to make a difference. We'll also take a deep dive into some of the root causes of the problem and some of the additional work that's being done to try and bring the problem under control. Rebecca Kane hails from Melbourne, Australia. In 2013, during a vacation to Bali, she started volunteering at an animal rescue center. She ended up moving there the following year. What followed is a decade plus of dedication to animal rescue and sterilization. Last month, her organization, Rob's Dogs, held a free clinic here in Koh for 12 days, offering free sterilization and rabies vaccines to anyone with a cat or dog in need. It was my distinct pleasure to speak with her. And this is rural Thailand at its best. This is good work. So we're sitting with Rebecca Kane, the founder of Rob's Dogs, who founded the organization back in 2018 approximately.
Unofficially in about 2014, but I think we got our official Australian charity status in about 2018, and then our Thai charity status, must have been about a year and a half ago now.
This all started when you took a trip to Bali with Rob?
No, so Rob and I used to come to Thailand together when he was still alive, and when we were here, he would always take care of all the strays. So we'd just be feeding them, and he'd be cleaning their wounds with betadine, and I'll get emotional, and all this sort of stuff. But then I took a trip to Bali. I must have been, about 10 years ago. And I was just horrified by the condition of animals in Bali, like the dogs especially, just, so skinny and mangy and just walking around and no sterilising. But I'd heard about this lady, taking care of the dogs in Ubud in Bali, and I'm like, all right, I've got to find this lady. And I'm looking, I'm trying to find her, and I couldn't, and I found her on the last day that I was there, and I met her, and I'm like, oh, tell me all about what you're doing, it's really interesting. And so, just for half a day, we just spent the half a day together, and we talked and talked and talked and talked. And so this lady said to me, why don't you come and help me for a few months? That's 10 years ago. I stayed in Bali with her for 2.5 years. I set up their sterilisation program because they had no sterilisation program at this place at that time. So I set that all up because I realised really, really quickly during my time in Bali, it felt like we were just always mopping up puppies, and I'm like, we've got to start sterilising, and we have to sterilise in a certain area and do all of the dogs in that area. It was the only way, so that's what we did. So we sort of had a map, and we would map out where we would go and just do all these different areas. And so that's where I learnt a lot about managing a sterilisation program and the resources that you need and all that sort of stuff. But the thing with Bali is you only get 60 days at a time.
On a visa.
On a visa. So you have to keep going out. So I would just go to different places and visit different other animal welfare organisations like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, etc. And it was during one of these visa trips that I came to Koh Samui. And I met a lot of the animal welfare. Like Samui is, for the population, is a very dense amount of animal welfare people. So I met a lot of the key players, but nobody was really doing any sterilising. Everyone was rescuing and rehoming and street feeding, but nobody was doing sterilising. And I'm like, by this time I was just exhausted with Bali. Like Bali felt like a constant battle. The government didn't support our work. They would periodically ban us from sterilising. They were not pro-vaccination, even though they've got rabies in Bali. I just can't cope with Bali anymore. And I thought, you know what, I'll come to Samui, work with, there was a few different people that I wanted to work with. I thought, I'll come, I'll help them set up a sterilisation program, because I felt that on such a small island, we could really quickly make a difference. So started doing that, working with Soy Dog, and they gave me a lot of support and training on, how to run it and how to do all that sort of stuff. And and when I first went to Samui, I'd be lucky if I sterilised 4 dogs a month. I had maybe 2,000 baht in donations coming in, and just 4 dogs, and I just slowly built up relationships with the vets, relationships with the other animal welfare people, building a donor base. It just really, really slowly, like I didn't go crazy. And then, like I say, it must have been nearly over a year and a half, we got official Thai charity status, which meant that we could hire our own vets, rent a premises, do all these things, all nice and legal. So we got ourselves a clinic in Nam Wang over on Koh Samui. And it's decked out. It's probably about the size of this area, and we can host about the same amount of vets as we're hosting here. We can have 6 tables, and we can do, I think the most we've done is 80 animals in one day in that facility. Wow. Mostly it's between 10 and 20 is our average, but when we do a special event, we can do, potentially we could do 100 a day, I think, in that facility. So, so we run on a really, really tight shoestring budget. We're very, very grassroots, but I mean, all these guys are all working for free. A lot of the supplies we've had donated. We get donations of sutures from Australia and donations of medicine from Australia. Built it into this really, really amazing thing now. Like this event, we're probably going to do about 500 animals.
In how many days total?
That's about 12 days.
12 days.
Yeah. Yesterday we did 57.
57 in one day.
Yeah.
The commitment. These 3 doctors here on these 3 tables, it's like they drop into this meditative state where they have to use their hands to find inside the animal what precisely that they're looking for. And a single pet can take an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
on the table.
Just depends on what.
And seeing everything lined up, as you've mentioned, all the medicines, the gloves, the equipment, that these are no small tasks.
No. And this is the biggest event of its kind that we've ever done. The most we've sort of done is 3 to 4 days on Koh Samui. So to do a 12-day event away from our home base, because they've always been on Samui, so I could just go send somebody back to the clinic to grab things. This time we're here. The pharmacy doesn't have what we need. Like we've had a couple of, we've had to get stuff sent over from Samui on the Raja really quickly. Wow. It's been a really educational thing for me to
Is this the first time you've done one this far from home?
this far from home and this size. This is the biggest one we've ever done. Never done one 12 days before.
So what's your biggest takeaway thus far?
More planning. I need more
planning.
planning, much more planning, and I need an assistant next time because, yeah, trying to do everything and account for everything, and and I had lists and boxes and packing and still there was lots of stuff that I just overlooked because what my vet on Samui does is completely different. Say these 3 girls, because they're Western trained,
Yeah.
completely different way of operating.
Yeah.
And use different things and want different things. Like my doctor on Samui doesn't use a certain size suture. These girls love it. And there's been a Thailand-wide shortage of these sutures. So we've got like a tiny little packet that we got from Australia and we're like, please use them sparingly. Yeah, so it's managing the resources that you have, and when I'm in Samui, I know where to get things.
Yes.
If I'm short of things.
Yes.
Whereas here, I don't know anybody. I'm like, I made friends with the pharmacist in town, and I'm like, I need this, I need that. So, yeah,
And today you had 2 doctors from Hong Kong,
Yes, with
one
2
from
doctors.
Argentina.
Yes, one from Argentina.
How do you
Dr. Jenny's from the
connect
UK.
to these folks?
So I discovered the most amazing Facebook group last year called Veterinary Volunteers Abroad or some such thing. And when we decided to do this event, so the 2 girls from Hong Kong are friends with a girl that works with us very closely on Samui, Corrie. And they were like, yeah, we'll come. Something fun to do. And then I posted it in this group. And yeah, Jenny messaged me. I had Laurent, one of the vet nurses, he messaged me. Another Beth, she's gone now, but she was here for about half of the event, was a vet nurse.
She just ran off earlier.
Yeah, ran off.
Last minute to catch her ferry.
That's right.
She was like, I want to do one more.
I know, everybody's so passionate. And then, yeah, Dr. Priao works on the next island over at a similar organisation.
Koh Phangan.
Yeah, in Koh Phangan, yeah. And Linda's one of our big time, long-time volunteers. She always helps me, and she knows she's really, really good at just organising things, making sure everything's smooth and we have what we need. So, and Dr. Pear, I know from Samui, she works for the livestock department. She's worked for me part-time for about, I'm going to say 2 years now. But this is our last event with her. She got a new job down the south, down near the border. So I'll be sad to see her go.
For those of us that are clueless, what does it cost in just dollars and in baht
Okay.
to put a 10-day event together?
This one we worked out was going to be about 12,000 Australian dollars, and that's just paying for the hard costs because all these guys are working for free.
Right.
So like the sutures and the drugs that make the dogs sleep are the big costs for events like this. So
What keeps you going? after
donations,
all these years?
donations.
And personally, what keeps you going?
Me.
This is hard. I see you all day. We've been here hanging out, and I can see it, on your face. I can see it. What keeps you going?
It's hard. Keeps me going knowing that we're making a difference. These dogs are going to have a better life now, and these cats, no more babies. We had this case on Samui, a beautiful dog like this, and she had, I think, just litter after litter after litter, and they lived near a main road, and the puppies would just get run over. And this poor mama dog must have just been heartbroken, losing all her babies, And now we've prevented that. She doesn't have to have that anymore. And her last remaining baby is still alive, and I sterilised her, so just stuff like that. I know it's hard work and it's exhausting and it's not glamorous, like all these other rescue groups it's all skinny and mangy and we fixed it up, or its leg was all hanging off and we don't get to do that, we don't get all these beautiful before and after photos and dramatic things. It's unglamorous. You're making a world with less puppies and kittens. People love puppies and kittens, but just not here, The life of most of these, 50% of them won't make it into adulthood, of these puppies and kittens that are born here,
Do your clients get it? They seem to be very appreciative.
Oh, yes, absolutely. that's not the problem. You know, like the customers come, they are always really grateful, but the donations, it's just not a sexy, glamorous thing to donate to. It's very hard to raise money for sterilising, but we always seem to manage to pull it together in the last. Everyone goes, oh, we haven't got enough money, we haven't got enough money. And at the last minute, we're like, oh, we've got enough money. So I try not to just worry about the money and just trust that it will come, you know, when the time is right. So, yeah.
We're obviously going to put your link up.
Thank you.
I'm just blown away by how a person can do what you have done for so many years and not for the financial gain, clearly because you're not even using a belt. You have a belt.
Don't tell everybody.
You have to just give a little glimpse. She has.
It's not because I'm too cheap to buy a belt. I just haven't had time.
You have a bungee cord for a belt. Clearly, you're not making a whole lot of money.
No, I'm self-funded. Yeah, so I'm a volunteer, and I fund myself with. When I was in Australia, I had a very ridiculously high-paying job in the media, and I made a lot of money.
And how happy were you?
No, I was miserable. Absolutely miserable. Absolutely depressed all the time. But I saved a lot of money, which I've now invested, and that gives me a little wee income that I live on and lets me to do this work, which does make me happy. It brings me joy and gives me purpose.
Well, we're going to give folks the opportunity to join this tiny community. If you are in the Thailand area, if you're a vet, we will put the link to her group on here. Come over and stand for these dogs, stand for this work, stand for these communities that need people just like this and the other doctors and vets who come over and give of their time for their love of these animals. People know if they watch our channel that we love animals. We've rescued 2 dogs from Japan and brought them with us. Could not have made this move over here without them. If you have it in your budget to give a few dollars to Rob's Dogs, we'll put the link below. We thank you on behalf of them. We thank you on behalf of these families who now get to sleep a little better, knowing that they're not going to be having to go through those situations where their little puppy gets run over in the road. So it may not be glamorous, but it sure is of value. So congratulations and good work to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to come and visit us.
The problem isn't an easy one to solve overnight, but there are efforts being made on both a provincial and federal level to try to tackle the problem. There's an ever-increasing free roaming or soy dog population, a lack of education combined with religious and cultural beliefs that serve to exacerbate the problem. Add to that a relatively low median household income, making it difficult for many people to afford the kind of care that they would like for their pets. There is progress being made, and I hope this video will inspire you to do what you can. Hey, please hit the like button on your way out, and as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.